Alright, thank you so much for joining me live in Atlanta. I'm Lorenzo Gaspar. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. This is Newsroom Midday. We are tracking Hurricane Irma, which is on its way to the Florida Keys and took a left turn towards the west of Florida, expecting to hit the west of Florida, but that doesn't mean the east of Florida is out of its way. The most we may see is 80 mile an hour winds. Joining me now is a resident of Miami, is Calix Bede. Calix, good to have you on. Can you tell us where you are?
I live actually in Miami, but I live in a small suburb area called Coconut Grove, which is east of Miami. It's right, I would say 4 to 5 blocks from the ocean. So we are going to be impacted very heavily by this hurricane, Irma.
Certainly. We're just looking at images of lines for gas in many parts of Florida, and particularly in Miami where you are. Did you see any of that? Have you been out to get some gas? What have you seen in regards to that, as well as stores?
Well, I've seen, I actually filled up my tank the day before yesterday, so it wasn't that bad. But today I drove around the city just to take a quick look, and I did see a lot of gas stations closed with signs outside that would say, "We're out of gas, no gas." And the few gas stations that I did see open with gas, there were lines of cars, of maybe 20 or 40 cars at a point that they would go around blocks, and there were cops redirecting traffic because there aren't many gas stations open that do have fuel. Home Depot has no more generators. People are scrambling at the last minute now trying to find generators, and there's nothing. Like I don't know if you'll see, I've sent you pictures of stores that are empty. The shelves are completely wiped out. I mean, it looks like a third world country. You will go to Walgreens and CVS, and you normally see like food or things up on the shelves, and the pictures and the images that I've sent you, I don't know if you've looked at it yet.
Right. We're looking at those.
They're completely empty. I mean, it's just, we're talking about a city that has 3 million people.
And some of those areas in the city, with all those people, many have evacuated, many have mandatory evacuations, and South Beach has mandatory evacuations, and other parts of the city. And if I'm looking at this map correctly, you are in the red zone of, that means you are in a mandatory evacuation, so that means you should evacuate, correct?
Yes, you're correct. I am in the evacuation zone A, which is the red part of the map that you have there. That is mandatory. You are not forced to leave if you don't want to. It's not like the cops are going to come out or the authorities are going to come out and get you out. You could stay if you want to, but they advised against that because there would be no emergency vehicle or service or police or anything coming in this area, and the effect that we do get the winds. So whoever does decide to stay in the red zones and the mandatory evacuation zones literally are on their own. They will not be able to call emergency services. They will not be able to get anybody to come out here and help them. So I am planning on possibly leaving tomorrow or Saturday morning because the storm is supposed to hit us, Irma is supposed to hit us by Sunday 8 a.m. On Sunday at 8 a.m. So we're supposed to feel the brunt of the winds, the worst of it.
Right. And Calix, do you have somewhere to go?
Well, yes, I do. I have a house up in Westchester, which is a little bit west. It's not as close to the coastline as we are right now. So I would say I want to say it's 30 minutes inland. So right now, if you look at the map, I'm in the red zone. That would be on the green zone. where that house that I have.
And the green zone, what does that mean? Is that good? Does that mean you'll get flooding? Do you know what it means?
There's gonna be flood in Miami because Miami is under sea level. So we are gonna get flooded, but that means that green zone means that it's gonna be less wind. You know, the red, orange are gonna get most of the winds, anywhere from 145 miles per hour to 180 miles per hour. The green zone might get winds of 80 miles per hour to 90 miles per hour. So they are definitely in a better position than we are. And of course, not being so close to the ocean, they're not going to get so much water.
Right.
But Miami, basically, the whole South Florida is basically, we're a couple of inches underneath sea level, so we are most likely are going to get flooded, even in the green zone.
As of today, there's going to be a 9-foot to 10-foot storm surge on the beaches, and we are looking at pictures of those. You can see the waves, and you were saying you live 3 blocks in from the coastline. Do you expect to come home to destruction and flooding? Do you live in a home? Is it an apartment? What is
it's
it?
a townhouse. It's 2 stories, and yes, I do expect either a lot of flooding or a lot of devastation. I don't expect to come home to, you know, a normal home. I do expect for it to be severely damaged.
Right, and we certainly have seen what happened in Houston with the flooding and the devastation on the coast there. 4th largest city, Houston, flooded by Hurricane Harvey. We did see a few months ago, I believe it was, with some rain coming into Miami and all the flooding there, and that was just rain that caused that. And now we're talking about a hurricane that's coming, but we might see a lot of wind there. Are you making any preparations as to food or anything like that? I know you fueled up a few days ago, but
yeah, I fueled up a few days ago, and I did stock up on a lot of canned goods because most likely we're going to lose power wherever we are in the state. So it could take weeks, it could take months for the whole state to get power, or the whole South Florida to get power again. It could be either, you know, a couple of hours to a couple of days to a couple of months even. It's been said in the news. Also, they said to get a lot of like canned goods, which I did, and nuts and berries, and you know, things that are if we are without power we could eat. Because in this event we're not going to have power, that's for sure. What worries me a little bit is that if you look at the map, south of Coconut Grove is the power. FPL, Florida Power and Light, has a plant there that is called Turkey Point plant, and it's a nuclear plant. That worries me, because if that were to be destroyed, we're going to feel nuclear devastation.
Radiation. But with that plant, we've seen that in Fukushima before, with the tsunami there, the reactor melted down. However, this plant you're talking about in particular did survive through Andrew, but this storm is as big as Andrew, and it does have backup generators as well. Calix Speed, thank you so much for talking with us. I want you to stay safe, get to safety, let us know when you get there, and we certainly will keep in contact with you. Thank you so much for joining me.
I would definitely will, and I'll take some pictures and maybe even video some of the storm so that I could forward it to you, and you could keep the public informed.
All right, Calix, thank you so much. Stay safe.
All right, you too. Thank you.
All right, and we are tracking Irma. We will be back at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Bring you the latest on what we have. We'll have more guests to talk about what they are going through ahead of this storm. Thank you so much for joining me here in the newsroom. Newsroom Midday. I'm Lorenzo.